Kia ora tātou, e tūanau ki tōku maunga o kaupau a titiro atu ki tēnei taha ki te wai o te rere o te marama tai atu ki te ao o Takahue. O tēnei tahu kaipō taku tūranga waiwai i roto i te rohe o kōku iwi o Te Rarawa kaiwhare o Ngāpuhi and Taranaki. Nei ratu ki atu kia koutou katoa. Kia ora, I'm Shay. I'm a pretty simple country boy from the far north, a little village called Takahue. Does anybody know where Takahue is, by the way? Oh, I got a couple of very vigorously elevated hands at the back. So it's just south of Kaitaia, like kind of tucked in between the Mangamuka and Broadwood, kind of towards the Hokianga area. Very difficult to access now because our roads are pretty devastated after some of the recent climatic events. Like Alexia, I've moved myself here to the west and I'm living out in OurOra, Waitakere. Beautiful. Between here and the whānau. Also, like Alexia, I've been doing social entrepreneurship since I was at university, and similar to her around this idea of not taking really great advice, I was one semester away from finishing my commerce degree at Auckland University, and I said no to it in order to found the Māori development unit in a place called the Ice House, which is a business growth centre back in 2011. And the idea there was, I was saying to our CEO, we're working with hundreds and actually thousands of New Zealand companies, helping them go global. But what are we doing to support Māori business? Because Māori businesses are that's actually at the time and still is the biggest growth sector of New Zealand's economy. We had preliminary numbers to show there was $36 billion worth of Māori economy that was developing. It's now over 70 billion. And so it was like, what do we actually do with all the resources of this place and all the networks of the Ice House to help Māori businesses grow, whether they be collectives like Māori iwi organisations and land trusts, and social service providers and charitable organisations, marae and those kind of trusts, or whether it be mum and dad Māori businesses or those slightly bigger. How do we help them grow? So I decided to leave uni for that opportunity, and here we are. Geez, it feels like about 15 years later, having worked with thousands of Māori organisations around the country and having seen some really strong impact. So what I wanted to do is just reflect on a couple of the themes around the youth component of that, because what we were identifying quite early on was we were working with Māori trust boards, like the governance boards, and there was a lot of rhetoric around succession planning and intergenerational thinking, but we weren't actually seeing any transmission of leadership. What we were seeing is they like to hold on to their seat pretty much until they die. In fact, like that's a thing that's part of the Māori organisations that are set up under the Māori land quarters. You're a trustee till death. So like when I work with trust boards, you've got like 95-year-old kaumata on there who can't even hear, or asleep after the karakia. So what I was seeing as action around succession wasn't living up to what I was hearing as the rhetoric. And I think that is a challenge, but that's a big issue because Māori organisations do think and strategize intergenerationally. So we need to see succession of thinking and strategy and good leadership. And, we can't just kind of do it and then these people die and someone new comes on and goes, what the hell's going on? So what we were realizing is actually one of the challenges that Māori organisations had with succession, with real succession, and with engaging youth in that process, was not knowing how to find them, develop them, and induct them confidently into the board role. So there was kind of this capability development piece that was missing in their expertise, which we had as a training organisation. So we decided to launch a youth governance program. And so I sort of threw it out there on Facebook. And we had, within 2 weeks, I think we had 60 young Māori go, oh yeah, I want to be part of that program. And one of those, I think we took 50 in the first intake. One of them was the bro Will Flavel, who's here sitting in the audience. Where is he? Where's Will? At the back. Kia ora, Will. So on the screen here, maybe Will's even on screen. Somewhere he's probably in the background. But those are some of his companions. Over the course of several years, we ran youth governance programs. We had hundreds of young Māori come through this program and then join hundreds of boards. Or should I say, when we look at the number of board roles held by them at the end of it, it was in the hundreds. So it was a demonstration for us of what's possible. And so what I thought I'd do is just share a couple of the themes around this. So generally speaking, if we're thinking about youth development and we're thinking about leadership training and enabling young people to have the confidence and skills, the things that they need in order to be able to take the path that they want to walk. Here are some of the themes, and I think my slides go 9, 8, 7. So here's 9 themes that I suggest to consider integrating into youth development programs. First is this concept of ata whakarongo. And so the ata bit is like carefully, closely kind of thing. The whakarongo is to really listen into what are they saying, what are they wanting, what are they needing, and being paying close attention to that, rather than sort of determining ourselves what we think they need. And that enables us to meet them where they are, and to speak in their language and develop something out that is going to be reflective of what they want to see. And so that's one thing. The second thing is be the person that backs them. This is a key thing I noticed on my own journey. Is some of my most like the mentors that I'm most grateful for were the ones that really backed me, like went out of their way in order to help me on my pathway or to create opportunity for me. So people like Andy Hamilton at the Ice House, people like Hami Perepi, the chairman of OurOra Te Rarawa, were examples of that. People like Reese Moores, who worked in the government as well at Open Doors. So be that person who actually backs young people. If they ask you to be a referee for their seat, for a job interview or something, be that person. Connect them to one another. This was a very important lesson for us, because I actually thought, it goes back to that concept of ata whakarongo. My perspective was, we just need to give young people the skills and the confidence and then they'll join a board. Actually, the thing that they most always talked about getting from these programs was a network of other like-minded young people. That's what they wanted more than anything else, and actually that is probably the most valuable thing they could get, because what I've seen, like, it's just really interesting how this plays out, is that as these young leaders grow and get into certain positions, they're just like, they're hiring one another, they're contracting one another, they're putting each other on each other's boards of their organizations, so that the network effect is very important. And when you do it at what we were doing, where governance was the motivator, they were such a diverse range of young people from all different backgrounds that they've now got this really rich, deep, trusting, diverse network. So it's the third thing. The fourth thing there, design it with you. Yeah, so it goes back to that first one, is this concept of co-design. If we have youth participate in the co-design, then they're going to design something that they actually want to engage in. So that's a thing that we did, and that worked quite well. The fifth thing there, evaluate their growth. So again, like once we listen to what they're actually wanting, have ways of measuring their progress, have ways for them to see their progress or their development or their learning. So what we did in our program is we would evaluate where they were at the beginning. I still do this in governance training. I do a quiz at the very beginning to get a sense of where are you in your knowledge levels. And then again at the end, we track that journey so people can viscerally see. I mean, there's many metrics, like they'll know their own confidence improve over time, but to see some kind of more tangible or quantifiable metrics as well can be quite helpful for them. The sixth thing there, find real case studies and real pathways. So we were inspired in the development of our program, the Kaiaka Potama program, to not just provide training, but to bolt in at the very end actual pathways into governance boards, so that you're coming on the training knowing that you're going to learn some stuff, and you're going to go observe some boards so you get a real life context, and then you might actually do some time as like a advisory trustee or a shadow trustee or observer, or on a board. So you're actually creating a pipeline, and I think that that's a really important piece here around like create pathways, create pipelines for young people, so that we're not training them outside of the context of what they're wanting to go into. Actually close the gap all the way to the outcomes that they're seeking, and expect them to go find it for themselves as well. Make that an expectation of them, because that then really forces them to do it rather than to just think about it. The next point there is gamify it. So gamification is this idea of make it fun, make it points-based, make it competitive, and that might be individual or team-based. It might be a combination of both. So we did that in our program. We would have homework. They get a certain number of points every time they do their homework. It's all visible on the board that they can track. So these kinds of things were a way to keep them engaged in the learning. And also when it is group-based like that, you can start to see who is participating and who's not, because you're tracking it. But when it's part of a group and their success overall is tied to all of their participation, then you get a lot of tuakana-taina, or you get like a buddy, or like you get informal mentoring going on, because those that are like really committed are like nudging the ones that aren't quite engaging to make sure that they get them over the line, otherwise they don't win. The next one there, have mixed mode delivery. So consider all the different ways youth might want to engage in it. A bit of face-to-face, but a bit of online. A bit of their own research, some videos, some tests and quizzes. So have multiple ways of engaging them, given that youth learn in different ways. And the final one there is involve the networks. So like it goes back to that network idea. Like the amount of networks that we will have built, each of us, in our work context and everything else. If we can invite those networks into the programs that we have with young people, then we're suddenly exposing young people who don't have much of a network into all these other people. So just that alone is extremely valuable. I'm at my 12-minute mark. I've only gone through one slide. So I think I'll hand over to Barney, but I've got some other slides that I can send out, and really it was around governance and the pathways into governance boards. I think this is something to consider, is if we do sit on boards, to check the behaviours of our board to see whether or not we are functioning in a way that is actually helpful to create an environment where young people might feel comfortable coming onto the board, and whether we're creating those pathways. So these are some of the unhelpful behaviours that we often see when we're working with governance boards. And then this slide here is about some of the practical things that can really help with good succession planning and actually preparing young people so that they can confidently join a board and know what's expected of them and have all of the resources at their disposal to add value. So here's some things to consider if you do sit on boards, to make sure that you have these things in place, or that you're mitigating risks. So that's some whakaaro from you for the work we've done working with hundreds of young people on a journey where we were clear on the outcome of getting them into boards. They often started not there, and we saw that worked, and we had hundreds of young people transition into those roles. Kia ora tātou.